Yogah Karmasu Kaushalam.
This is a topic which is very close to my heart, and that is the dreams, analyzing the dreams, or what we call the dream interpretation. So dream is a part of the sleep. I'm not talking about daydreaming here. So when you go to sleep, you are in the REM stage, rapid eye movement stage, you start dreaming. Sleep is temporary refusal to face the outside world, which is reality. It is a manifestation of the unconscious mind. Dream is your imagination. It's a residue of the day activity in the waking state. There are two parts to understand the dream. One is the manifest content. So what do you mean? What do I mean by the manifest content? It's the dreamer's perceiver, what he perceives in the dream, the interpretation, what he has done in the dream. And latent content is his wish, the wish in the dream, what I want to be. So I have a big bungalow, I have lots of cars, I have a huge bank balance, I'm flying to America, I'm sitting in my boss's chair, and I'm so and so, I'm the prime minister, I'm the chief minister, whatever. That's my wish. And that I will see in my dream. In India, as yet, we do not have many psychologists and psychiatrists trained to do specifically dream interpretation. But abroad, there are special psychologists who are specifically trained in the field of psychoanalysis for many, many years, just to understand the dreams. There are special sleep laboratories where dreams are analyzed. So how do you analyze dreams? They're not so simple. They're not so easy. The symbols of the dream are to be understood. The symbols for men are different and the symbols for women are different. Like when you see a house in a dream, it is talking about a human body. Smooth. If it is a smooth house, it is talking about the male body. If it's got balconies and ledges, you are dreaming about a female body. Kings and queens, if you see in your dream, they are parents. Animals, they are siblings. If you see water in your dream, it talks about birth. If you see journey, like you're traveling, then maybe it talks about death. So when a female is dreaming, which are the sexual symbols we need to understand? Pockets, flower pots, bags, purses, drawers, jars, boxes, gates. These are some. There are so many, many symbols. I just brought some for you. So these are female sexual symbols which need to be understood. When you dream about rooms and stereo, we interpret that as the uterus of the woman's body, in the woman's body. When you are dreaming about watch, clock, then it is the period of the woman, the menstrual cycle of the woman. When you have seen diamonds, it's the female genitals. Apples, peaches, oranges, since they're all round, it signifies or symbolizes the breasts of the woman. Landscape with rocks, woods, water are the different female organs. These are just some symbols for you to understand the concept. Male sexual symbols. So when you dream about a hat, you're talking about a man. Sticks, keys, knives, poles, pencils, guns, snakes, trees, hammer. These are symbolizing the male's sexual organ. When you see a bridge, like I'm crossing a bridge, or I'm on a bridge, it is speaking about sexual intercourse, maybe birth, maybe death. Airplanes, balloons, they all symbolize the male erection. Number 3, it symbolizes the penis, the testicles. Sliding, gliding, when you see in the dream, it could be symbolizing masturbation. Climbing, riding, shooting, dancing is the act of sexual intercourse. Extraction of the teeth could be the fear of castration. I'm sure you know about the story of castration, the fear of castration, where the child was afraid that if I don't do what my father is telling me, then the father will castrate me. To castrate means he will cut off my penis. So the male child is always afraid of the father because he's stronger, he's older, he's matured, and he can castrate him. That's why that fear of castration is very, very strong. So psychoanalysis is a method of therapy. It's a method of treating the psychological disorders. For example, neurosis, where the problems like phobia, obsessive compulsive behavior, patients who have anxiety, then those patients who are psychotic, schizophrenia, depression, mania, mood disorders, conduct disorders, personality disorders, they all can be helped if they are given the treatment of psychoanalysis. It is a way to probe the unconscious mind with the help of the interpretation of the dreams. So we come to the next theory, and that is the humanistic theory. The humanistic theory emphasizes upon the personal responsibility and innate tendencies towards the personal growth. Carl Rogers' self-theory. Rogers has contributed immensely to understanding personality. Many individuals, they fail to become fully functioning persons because distorted self-concepts, they interfere with personal growth. Another very big name in the field of psychology to understand personality is Maslow's theory of self-actualization. Abraham Maslow. An individual has reached his maximum potential and becomes the best human being that he can. Look at this triangle. This triangle, we go down from down to up. At the bottom of the triangle are the physiological needs. Physiological needs is hunger, thirst, fatigue. Once your physiological needs are satisfied, you would look for safety. You would look for security, safety. Once your physiological needs and safety needs are satisfied, you want the feeling of belongingness and love. This is the need, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So you want to belong to others, you want to be accepted by others, and you want to be with others. You want to be loved. Once this third stage is satisfied, then you would go to these self-esteem needs. You want to achieve, you want to be competent, you want to gain approval, you want to gain recognition. Once these needs are satisfied, you have a great need for cognition to satisfy your cognitive needs. You want to know, you want to understand, you want to explore. Once these needs are satisfied, you are looking for aesthetics. You want to satisfy your aesthetic needs. Aesthetic means that you want everything clean, you want everything good looking, everything should have a good look, there should be symmetry, there should be order, there should be beauty around. Once all these, and these all needs are in a hierarchy. If any need at the bottom is not satisfied, you cannot go to the next step. The last one at the pinnacle is the self-actualization need. It means to find self-fulfillment and realize one's potential. So, I also want to tell you here that if you are hungry, for example, your basic physiological needs are not satisfied, you cannot be self-actualized. You cannot be thinking about self-esteem. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it's not just a hierarchy, not these are going up above the steps, but only when the needs at the bottom are satisfied, that means your hunger, thirst, sleep, they're all satisfied, then only you go on to the next one. Only when the first two are satisfied, then on you go on to the third one. Otherwise, it's not possible. Self-actualization, very few people, very few human beings are able to achieve. Because in our life, all our life, in our life cycle, we are so busy satisfying our physiological needs, safety needs. For example, you build a house, so all your life you're occupied with that, so that you can go back to a safe place. All your life you are building up the need for belonging to people, satisfying their needs. I want to be loved, so you keep working for that. So all these go up, one and up on the steps. And only when at the bottom they are satisfied. So if you are hungry, if you are sleepy, if you are thirsty, you cannot talk about self-actualization. So this is how the hierarchy of needs helps us to understand the personality of the different individuals. The trait theories. The central traits, the source traits. Albert has contributed greatly to the understanding of personality. Albert says that human beings, they possess a small number of central traits, which gives a uniqueness as an individual. Cattle says that there are 16 source traits that underlie the differences between individuals on many specific dimensions. R.B. Cattle has contributed greatly to the 16 personality factor test, which we use to understand personality. It's a beautiful test which we use in the clinical situations even today. Learning approaches. We all need to understand how we learn. We learn so many things in our life. So how do we learn? What is it? Why some people learn fast, some people learn quickly, some people learn the very first time, some people take a lot of time to learn. So these are different approaches. We live in society. Some people learn to be very polite. Some people are extremely rude to you. Some people behave very well at home. Some people don't. Society, community, personal relationships, etc. Some people are very mean to you. Some people are very rude to you. This all involves different kinds of learning behavior. And that's how we are able to understand personality. So learning approaches, they explain the uniqueness and the consistency of human behavior. If you remember in the very first slide, we were talking about the uniqueness and the personality of the human being. We are all unique in nature. At the same time, in order to be normal, we need to be consistent in our behavior. One day you're very angry, the other day you're very sweet, and the third day you are in a different mood. That is not okay. In order to be normal, in order to be consistent in your behavior, to be well accepted and understood by people, you have to have consistency in your behavior. Patterns of behavior once acquired, they tend to persist. If you remember and go back to your childhood days, you will remember that your parents used to give you a lot of guidance, is to teach you a lot of things. Don't say this, don't say that. It's wrong to say that. Why are you doing this? Correct your behavior, etc. So these are patterns of behavior which you acquire in your childhood or in the school, and they always remain with you. Bandura has contributed greatly to the concept of learning. It's called Bandura's social cognitive theory. The self system is a set of cognitive processes by which the individuals perceive, evaluate, and regulate their own behavior. Self-efficacy is the individual's beliefs about his ability to perform various tasks. For example, efforts to obtain a new job. So after having understood a couple of important theories of personality, which helps us to understand the individual, the human being in general, when we meet people, when we interact with people, when we build relationships, but specifically in the clinical situation, we need to understand personalities very, very clearly, very, very deeply, go inside them and know them thoroughly. My presentation would be incomplete if I did not tell you that how can personality be measured? I'm sure you have that question in your mind. That we are talking about personality, but how can it be measured? Later on, I will also be giving you a psychological test, which you can give to yourself on your own. You can score it on your own, and you can interpret on your own. Complete confidentiality, and only you will be doing it. So you will have an idea about the kind of personality you have. So coming back to what we were saying, that how to measure personality. There are self-report tests. There are questionnaires. For example, I just spoke to you about Cattell's 16 personality factor test. It has got 16 traits which can be measured in one single person. The MMPI, Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory. Very, very popular tests in the clinical situations to understand the individual. They're very, very helpful to us. I can speak on and on about these tests, but that is not our subject right now. Projective tests. I've just given some examples here. There are a whole series of tests that we have. Projective techniques means your projections. Freud is very strongly talked about your projections. These are measured by the unconscious mind. And these can be understood very well with the help of the Rorschach ink blot technique. The Rorschach ink blot technique, very briefly, if I tell you that there are ink blots on cards which are shown to the individual. And when they are shown to be exposed to the individual, they have to say that what they can see. And there is no design, a proper design. Like when you look at a fan, everybody will say that it is a fan and nothing else. You won't say it's a tube light because it's got a structure. But the Rorschach ink blot techniques do not have any structure. Hence, you have to bring your projections forward. Like people are seeing trees, people are seeing water flowing, people are saying that I can see mountains, etc. It's a beautiful test to test your personality. Even normal personality, even we as normal people have some problems in our personality which you would like to improve upon. For example, aggressiveness. You might be getting angry very easily. So we need to find out why is it so? What's the source? Another test very commonly and popularly used, that is the thematic apperception test, TAT, by Murray. This test is specifically meant for children and also for adults, but thematic apperception test, you have to tell stories. Every human being is very, very fond of telling stories, particularly children. So this is a story which you have to tell by looking at the card. There's a card which is given and there's a picture on the card. And you have to tell a story about it. When you tell a story, without you realizing, if I do direct interviewing or direct questioning, you will never tell me your problem. But when we go through a story, we enroute it through a story, you are at the center and you are talking about yourself and about your problems, which perhaps you might not say otherwise. Then interview methods are very common methods of measuring the personality. Biological measures are very frequently used for measuring personality, and observation method, which we all as teachers are often using it. So I think we have covered a lot about what is personality, how it can be measured, the different theories of personality. I hope I have been able to bring some clarity in your thought process and you have understood personality a little more. Thank you for patient listening. Namaskar.
Thank you very much, Madam. I am thankful to on behalf of HRDC and all the participants. Thank you, Madam.